What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Monday Motivation. For those of you that are new to Yes Queen, yes queens! I am so excited that you're here, and welcome to my queendom. So for those of you that watch a lot of BuzzFeed, I'm sure I look very familiar to you guys, and that is because I used to work there for 3.5 years. And I recently left in December because I wanted to apply to grad school, and I will be attending UCLA, #class of 2021. Hey! That decision was actually really stressful for me, and I just sealed the deal on that one. The deposit, actually, they didn't even ask me for a deposit, but the deal is done on that one, and I'm really excited to announce that I'm going to UCLA. But one of the other reasons why I wanted to leave is because I just wanted my own space. I just wanted the ability to make videos at my own pace, and I wanted to be able to connect with you guys. And I really wanted the content that I was making to live on a platform that held the values that I really care about. And so that is what Yes Queen is. Yes Queen is an extension of who I am and the principles that I live by. You know, prior to leaving BuzzFeed, I would get all of these messages from people just kind of asking me about how I was able to transition from being the person that I was growing up that dealt with a lot of issues about my body image and sense of self-worth, and how I was able to now be this person that is unapologetically fierce. And so I figured that I should create a site and a space for people to kind of, if they want to embrace that lifestyle that I have now developed for myself, there is all of the content that they could ask for under those same principles. So let me tell y'all, Monday Motivation has been on quite a journey since I have started this. So for anyone who is a day one Yes Queen newsletter subscriber, they have seen me through it. Monday Motivation actually used to be a weekly letter that I would write out to subscribers on the email list. I wanted to write them a little something that was extra special. However, I have tendonitis in my left wrist arm area, and so as much as I love writing, it was killing me softly to write these letters. And I'm also someone that likes to believe that they're superhuman, and I really just didn't want to acknowledge the fact that I had tendonitis. So I was working through the pain. I was like, there is no pain, even though my arm was like on fire. And so I kind of finally decided that, we can't live like this no more. So if you are on the Yes Queen email list, then you are also familiar with the audience survey that I send out every week when I send out the newsletter. And I highly encourage you to take the survey if you already haven't, or to sign up for the email list if you are really interested in shaping the future of Yes Queen and the things that I talk about. To me, I really don't like to waste time. And so I want to make sure that I'm making content that matters to you guys and that is going to be impactful and important to you guys. So, obviously if I have something to say, I'm gonna say it. Y'all know this. But at the end of the day, I think that this should be, a mutual experience for all of us. You get a little something, I get a little something, we all get a little something. So, for that alone, I would just sign up for the newsletter, just so, if you want to have input on the future of Yes Queen and the things that I make, because I really do look at the surveys. And I just also want to thank all the people who already have filled them out. You guys have filled them out so honestly and authentically. And, even with the few people that have, it's given me such a good indication as to where I want to go. So I just want y'all to know that I appreciate y'all that have already done it. And I could appreciate you if you fill it out. So if you want that appreciation, fill it out. But yes, so I was looking on the survey, and a lot of people indicated that they spend the majority of their time on Instagram. So I started vlogging them for a bit on Instagram. So here was the thing about vlogging on Insta Story. So Insta Story likes to think that they cute, and they want to put limits on the amount of time in which people can talk to you in a little story clip. And, I am someone that, you can't limit me, okay? I don't know who Instagram thought they were in trying to limit what I had to say, but it just wasn't working out. I just kind of felt like it was, uploading millions of clips, and the clips never uploaded in order, and I was having meltdowns every single Monday. I also have terribly slow internet that I'm trying to work on. And so, yeah, me vlogging on Insta story, it wasn't working out. But then I was checking out some of my other friends' Instagram stories, and I saw that Instagram now does this feature where you can integrate YouTube videos into your story. So I just figured that would be the best way to go about reaching you guys. All right, so Monday motivation. What the hell is it, y'all, right? I realize that when it comes to Mondays, we all have this attitude of how Mondays are just like, oh, it's Monday, I have to go to work, blah, blah, blah. And I just wanted to see if there was a way in which I could reimagine how we experience Mondays. Because a huge brand principle about Yes Queen is that it's all about reimagining and checking regurgitated information and old feelings and actually checking in with ourselves and understanding if the way that we feel is how we want to feel, and then how do we get to that place in which we are feeling and doing the things that we want to do. So yeah, I just kind of felt like Mondays always have this like blah attitude, and I want to celebrate Mondays, especially as someone that is now out and about doing their own thing. Like, I wanted Mondays to be a day in which I'm excited about how I'm going forth in the week and what I can get accomplished. And I wanted Mondays to represent possibilities, endless possibilities. So that is what this segment is all about, helping you to re-see your Mondays and hopefully create endless possibilities for yourself. All right, so let's get into the good stuff. So for this week's Monday motivation, I have titled it, Don't Let the Fakes Outdo You. This should be a good one, so get your popcorn, get your blanket, let's settle on in, because I got a good story for today. All right, so as all good stories start, it started on Twitter. Twitter happens to send out a weekly reader digest of all of the interesting stories floating around Twitter for the day. So Twitter sent me this email, and I was browsing through it. And at the end is a story about a guy who was pretending to be a doctor for 5 months, and the guy is in India. And the funny thing about it is that not only was it just some guy, but it was this 19-year-old kid. And in my head, I'm just like, are you like, what? How a 19-year-old kid is up in here faking being a doctor for 6 months or however many months he was doing it is beyond me. But it actually brought back memories about a redonkulous story. It was one of those articles that you just could not stop scrolling, and you're like, and then she did this, and then she got this, and then she got that. Like, what? But at the end of it all, it actually really, truly, it oddly enough becomes inspirational. So, and I have found a way to make it inspirational. But yeah, so this girl, she played a con of all cons, and I cannot wait to tell y'all this story because it is wild. If I were not holding my phone, which I am using to record this with, I would be clapping because it is that kind of story. So this is a story about the rise and fall of a company called Theranos. And Theranos is or was a blood testing company. So their whole promise was, or I guess their backstory, I should say, was that Elizabeth Holmes was their CEO, and she dropped out of school. She was at Stanford University at 19 because she wanted to revolutionize the healthcare industry. And part of how she planned to do that was to do away with needles because, we've all gotten shots. Like, I remember back in the day when I would get shots, it took maybe 3 or 4 people to hold me down. I'd be hysterical as fuck, crying, and the needle ain't even anywhere near my arm, but I am losing my shit. So I totally get where her vision and where her heart was coming from with the idea. So she wanted to do away with needles, and she wanted to be able to get the same amount of information that you would get from drawing a vial of blood with just a pinprick of blood. Again, obviously there is there was a huge desire in this idea, especially for young Daisha. Young Daisha would have been like, yes, queen, please, please bring me this right now. And what is so crazy about this is that homegirl is 19 years old, and I don't know how she was able to get $700 million in venture capital, but she found a way to convince people to not only give her $700 million in venture capital. Now, this is warning number one. So this is where, when we think about this being a horror movie, I would have been killed off for using logic, because this just already sounds like, motherfucker, why would you do this? Why would you give her money for this? But when she was looking for investor money, she told the people, she was like, you have to accept my one condition, which is that you will never understand how the technology works. I never have to explain it to you. If I never have to explain it to you, I will take your money and allow you to be an investor in this company. So, again, I don't know how anyone could give her $1 under that premise, but she got $700 million. So she was someone who idolized Steve Jobs, and Steve Jobs was famously known for being very secretive about his technology and the products that he was developing, and so she supposedly wanted to follow in his footsteps in that way. And so she had everyone that worked at the company under very airtight NDAs, and anyone that started to question her motives or the functionality of the device, she would swiftly find a way to out them out of the company. And none of the workers were ever really able to communicate with each other. And, I read this, and again, this is part number 2. This is how I'd be really dead. Like, if they could kill me again, they would resurrect me just to kill me again for inputting my logic, because I just don't understand how you could invest in someone with this premise. It just sounds absolutely wild to me. And again, I'm not a business person. I'm working very hard to be a business person. But you just read this as a case study and I'm like, it can't be this easy. Y'all have to be playing me for it to be this easy. How anyone could not hear those things and think this heifer had to be up to something. But, I don't want to say the P word, but privilege is a hell of a drug. Anyway, so in the future, if y'all ever have millions of dollars that you just kind of want to throw away, my name is Daisha Veronica. You can make that check out to Daisha Veronica Edwy, though. That's my government. And, I have a P.O. box that I can drop to you. Just let me know, okay? Because I can't. Anyway, I'm going to keep telling y'all the story. I'm going to stop interjecting. I'm going to be a good storyteller. So let's get back to it. Of course, when Theranos started pulling in millions of dollars in funding, everyone was completely fascinated with this new technology that she was trying to develop. And so with this notoriety, homegirl got pulled onto the cover of Fortune and Forbes and Inc. She gave TED Talks about nothing really when you understand where the story goes. But she got TED Talk opportunities. She was out here on panels with people like Bill Clinton. She had partnerships with companies like Walgreens and Safeway and prominent insurance companies. She was hanging out at the Time 100 parties and stuff like that. So homegirl was getting all of this prestige. And keep in mind that this is all before she had even launched the damn thing. So, yes, in case you were wondering, there is no product in any motherfucker's hands, and yet this girl was able to have a company that was valued at, now get ready, this is what I said, y'all need to be sitting down for this, but homegirl made billions of dollars. She had a company that was valued at billions of dollars, making her the youngest female, or one of the youngest female self-made billionaires in the motherfucking world. Now, y'all, all right, I know I said I was going to be a good storyteller, but I have to jump out for a second. So, let's go back to the other slide, because I cannot understand how under these stipulations, investors cannot know how the technology works. Everybody got to sign an airtight NDA. Workers can't talk to each other. Don't nobody know how the damn thing works. The damn thing ain't even out on the market yet. And yet this girl has a $1 billion company, a couple $1 billion company. If anybody needs to, if you got a little bald patch in the front, I feel you. I hear you. My little front bald patch is still kind of recovering and is mad at me for telling this story again because it is crazy. Anyway, back into storyteller mode. So Holmes was finally ready to push out her nothing of a product into the market. But she had some people who had maybe just an inkling of common sense, and her chief scientist was like, girl, I don't know if we are all the way there yet. Maybe we should just pump the brakes a little bit, make sure it actually works the way it's supposed to work. We shouldn't be using our competitors' technology to send out reports on things that our technology should be able to do. I don't know. And, this is how I imagine her response to be. It's not actually, but in my mind, because the only way that I could see this going down is her being like, honey, have you seen me? I am privileged up the ass, okay? So this is not an issue. So I'm going to need you to box that shit up and get it out to market. Thank you. And, it's one of those things where, I might get shit for saying that, but I just think that that's, again, millions of dollars of investor money, prestigious recognition, billions of dollars, ain't nothing in nobody's hands. You cannot say that that's not privilege in some capacity. And I'm not saying it's the WP word, but it is. I just, I could totally imagine her putting this product out to market, being completely batshit wrong, and, a couple hundred people dying, people doing their mini blog post exposés on how they think Theranos is trash, her settling for an undisclosed amount in court to the families of victims, and this thing continuing to be out in the market, fucking people up, and then 20 years later, there's a huge expose and blah, blah, blase. But after that, she's what, probably made trillions of dollars at this point, so what does it even matter? And I'm sure that this was the life that she envisioned for herself if it weren't for a badass motherfucker named John Carreyrou, who I am very sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, but, excuse me if I am. But John Carreyrou was a writer for the Wall Street Journal, and Carreyrou, he heard her shit and he was like, this just, it sounds a little comically vague. I'm trying to remember, I've read so many articles about this, but basically someone was like, her explanation for how the technology worked was you prick the blood and then a chemical reaction happens, and the reaction triggers a chemical which gives you a reaction that gives you a result that the chemical reaction. And, it's so funny because I'm sure she said this to a giant room of people. She said it during one of her little TED Talks, and everyone's just nodding their head scribbling their notes yes, go girl, yes. And John was listening to her say her shit and was like, the chemical reaction, what? Nah, girl, nah, what? We gonna rewind that shit. What did you just say? And John wrote a very scathing expose that exposed her lying trick ass. And what's so funny about this story? Now, I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, oh, this was the end of Theranos and her, and it has burned to the ashes. And I will say, so she did face some punishment. So she's not allowed to be an officer or director of a publicly traded company for at least 10 years. She has to pay a huge fine, return millions of dollars back in stock. But do you know that this heifer is still out here trying to make Theranos a thing? She is still asking investors for more money, still trying to keep Theranos afloat. And I'm just like, girl, do you know that shit is dead? There was no higher being in any kind of religion that could resurrect that motherfucker. Like, Jesus said, these are some bullshit sins that you got me out here dying on this cross for. So, nah, girl, you got me fucked up. Do I look as boo-boo the fool as your investor friends that had the audacity to invest in you in the first place? You better go on with your trick ass. Like, that's what I imagine Jesus saying to her. Like, just like, no, absolutely not. I've been through so much pain for y'all asses, and this is what you do. So, you know, I tell her story because at the end of the day, it really is about your hustle. It's about your drive. It's about your determination to make a dream that you have a reality. So when we think about the takeaways in this story, again, as I mentioned, don't let the fakes outdo you. There are people out here making billions of dollars for nothing. So don't let them outdo you. Don't let them outdo your hustle. You know, at the end of the day, I think this story really shows that it's about your hustle, your determination, and then your idea, like creating and having an idea that people can stand behind. Because as her story shows, you know, people were definitely more behind the idea than they were behind the evidence that was right before their eyes that this just wasn't going to work. Don't be afraid to go after your purpose. Remember, if she could get the amount of money and prestige out of doing nothing, not having a product in nobody's hands, you can make something out of what you have. And then remember that an idea, passion, and determination can take you a hell of a long ass way, along with maybe a little dash of privilege. And yes, as I have acknowledged before, she was she's hella privileged. Like, I'm sure that she definitely had privileges that allowed her to get away with a lot of this, but like, I wouldn't focus on her privilege. Like, she did not get all the way there just because of her privilege. Like, when you really look at the elements, like, privilege just gave her that extra push, that extra nudge, but she still had to have an idea. She still had to hustle for it. She still had to have that determination in order to get it out there. So really don't get discouraged or blindsided by the privilege. Like, you know, I think it's important to acknowledge it, but don't let it be the thing that you use to say, don't let it be your excuse, you know, don't let it be the, oh, well, you know, because we know that, right? We know that people have better advantages than some of us, right? Like, I'm a Black woman. Like, I know that there are so many other people that are going to have better access and opportunities than I am. But I'm not going to sit here and say that I can't be what I want to be just because I'm a Black woman. I'm going to say I'm going to be who I want to be just because I am a Black woman. And, you know, I definitely just don't, you know, again, like, sure, there are other people that are going to have an easier advantage than I will, but that still doesn't mean I'm out of the race. That still doesn't mean I can't do what I want to do. And that's kind of always been my mentality. So I acknowledge it, I see it, I hear it, I don't feel it, but I see it, and I keep it moving, you know, and that's really what the essence of Yes Queen is all about, is having that optorealist mentality. So you're going to hear me say optorealist a lot, but basically being an optorealist means that you see things, like what you see is rooted in positivity, but you keep it real. So I understand that there are people that will have more advantages and opportunities than I am in the world, that are more privileged than I am. I don't care. I legitimately don't care. I see your privilege. That's nice. That still doesn't mean that that's going to stop my hustle just because you have a little bit more privilege than me. I'm not going to let that be the thing that stops me from trying to get what I want at the end of the day. Especially when, you know, if I feel validated in the thing that I have to offer. So, yep, that's all I got for Monday Motivation this week. If you like it, if you feel motivated, if you feel inspired, I would love to get the feedback. You know, I would love it if you could like, share, engage, subscribe, do what you do. Message me, whatever, if you want to talk about it. And know that I love and appreciate y'all. I'm so happy and thankful that you are here, that you listened this far. I know it's pretty long, but it was worth the ride, wasn't it? And I will catch you guys next Monday. As always, in love, peace, and unapologetic fierceness. Y'all are the shit, and I'm out.